allow them to sleep better or to relax. And one of the techniques that we used was a 6 respiration per minute technique. That's what we tell you all the time. Breathe in, take a deep breath. So we were trying to improve their cardiorespiratory calm. So in the left side, you may see that most of the coordination was inappropriate, was here. Those syndromes that have to be with stress, sleep disorders, psychiatric disorders, they're going to look this way. And then what we are trying to do in this technique is to see how, by integrating the respiration, they start to coordinate the heart rates and the respiration rates. Patient with sleep apnea, they're going to look more like this. Okay? In this particular scenario, I chose a patient with psychiatric disorders because tomorrow we're going to have a lecture by Dr. Ferrer, he's a psychiatrist, to understand that these comorbidities happen. And many of the cardiac patients, many of the psychiatric patients, they share many physiological signals that are basically the same. So suggesting that these syndromes, they feed from each other, they're say bidirectional nature. So when we monitor them, part of the things that my group is seeking is how we can basically phenotype, depending on the specific patterns that you see here, specific patient populations. This one is interesting to me because this was a patient with schizophrenia, that they are known to have multiple sleep disorders. And the patient came in with a crisis, and as we progressed him in his treatment, he was able to sleep better, but most importantly, the cardiorespiratory couplings started to change. After 10 days, he returned to something similar to this one here. Healthy young individuals, they're going to look more into the red side, and then people with sleep disorders, people with cardiovascular disease or stressed, they're going to look more into the blue side. So yes, we can give some color to disorders, and this is a way to measure. Now we have real-time monitoring in the cloud that can look at that, and if you have a patient that is in the red side of things, let's say it's doing good, but in the next 2 or 3 or 4 days start to change the pattern, that can be a red flag for you, and you can intervene earlier. So in cardiorespiratory coupling, it's been shown again that patients with sleep disorders, they have this coordination between respirations and heart rates are not adequate. Another technique that we are employing as of late is what we call the respiratory rate variability. Respiratory rate variability is, for me, a little bit tricky. Why? Because it's not clear-cut. Most of the other techniques are clear-cut. Meaning, high is good, low is bad. Low is good, high is bad. This technique, the respiratory rate variability, depends on the patient population. Some patient population seems to be high respiratory rate variability is okay. Some other populations, high respiratory rate variability seems to be a bad thing. We're starting to understand the respiratory rate variability phenomenon. In this case, this was a study in collaboration with the government of Poland with patients with insomnia and heart failure. And what we're trying to show here is those patients that show the highest respiratory rate variability, usually their prognosis was the worst. Very easy technique to use. Still the calculations for respiratory rate variability, still statistically speaking, we haven't developed like a software to help with that, but I have no doubt in my mind that in the next 2 or 3 years we're going to be right there with a real-time respiratory rate variability monitoring. So in summary, Some of the markers that we have been touching upon today, when we have them increase or decrease, they strongly suggest any given kind of pathology. Here's one of the exceptional ones, as I mentioned, that can be also elevated. We are starting to understand this phenomenon in the circulation and in the respiration rates. Well, most of these techniques could be integrated into what is the model of the clinic. So we can expand the reach of the clinic into the home-based monitoring. Okay? Many of these devices, they don't have to be very sophisticated. Thanks to the technology advancements that we have had today, they're very reliable. So, for instance, just to make it as a comparison, all the technology that was contained in the Apollo 12 mission, we have more here in a cell phone these days. So it's not impressive for us these days that we are having advancements in technology, basically, that allow us to monitor our patients when we are not in contact with them. Before I entertain some questions, I'd like to acknowledge my research group. Without them, this would not be possible. They are the ones running the factory. I run it from the outside. They're the ones laying the load there in the back. Thank you guys for all your help. And also, I'm going to very appreciative to MedScience, because without them, some data that we collected wouldn't be possible. Thank you very much. That's a good question. And now there's some limitations. There's some limitations in the kind of equipment that is approved, as well as the kind of monitoring. So for the most part, some of the CPT codes these days, again, I'm not an expert in the area. Tomorrow we're going to have, or Sunday we're going to have one discussion in this regard. They still use many old techniques. Okay? Now, as we're looking for ways to keep patients outside of the emergency room hospitals, they are going to be more accepted. But of course, that's why research is part of the complete process.
Cardiopulmonary coupling has been used for many years as a surrogate marker of arousal in overnight sleep studies, because with either autonomic or cortical arousals, heart rate increases and so does respiratory rate. So how do you factor that out when you're looking at cardiopulmonary coupling? That's one question. And the other question is that we know, for example, in advanced diabetes, you get vagal nerve and phrenic nerve neuropathy, so respiratory sinus arrhythmia is damaged tremendously. And that's a sign of disease, but how do you factor, how do you build that into your algorithm so that you can make these things applicable to the people that are even using the most, which are probably right now the young, healthy people, and later it'll be the old guys like me that have disease?
That's a very great question. Actually, I kind of simplified this here. If you notice, the calculations for cardiorespiratory coupling, they go in two directions. They go from the respiration to the beat to beat, or the heart rates, and vice versa. I prefer to use the influence of the heart rates on the respiratory rate as a surrogate marker. And this has been because of consensus. It's more easy to use for us. We have more clear changes when we look from this angle, just to say something like that. Also, the frequency of sampling, we have been looking into 80 samples per second, 120, and so forth. So too many samples is too noisy. And if you don't have that many, let's say less than 60, it's not clear enough. So right now, the sampling rate for both signals is around 120 hertz. Okay? That's how we kind of try to clean this up to make it more applicable. And then for respiratory sinus arrhythmia, there are specific techniques. Heart rate variability covers a lot of that ground as well. How we make it more applicable, easier to understand. That's one of the things that we're looking into reach this day. Basically, we can come with a single number that we can say, well, your heart rate variability is 10 and yours is 7, so you are in a better shape. Since we have so many markers, getting into a consensus to which is the most appropriate marker to a specific population, still a challenge today. That's still a challenge.
Thank you for this presentation, Dr. Monson. I have one question. Are you also looking into the pulse pressure variability during the sleep apnea? Because as we know, especially the sleep apnea, the interthoracic pressure and down pressure goes up, so that can cause some pulse pressure variability. Has any significance in the research?
So I'm more familiar with blood pressure variability in the context of cardiovascular disease, heart failure, and I can tell there are markers of sympathological tone, meaning that the influence of the nervous system over the circulation, and we have even published some work on how in psychiatric disorders you can have increases in the sympathetic vasomotor tone that's also associated with poor sleep quality, depressive symptoms, which are both high in patients with sleep apnea. So we usually treat these conditions are different things, okay? But for the most part, they share many characteristics in common. And that's one of the tune-in or the insights that we're trying to get into research. How can I differentiate a person, for instance, with depression from a person from anxiety? Both are very comorbid. There are already steps towards that we can actually, depending on the variability throughout the 24-hour, get a specific blueprint of that patient population. That's what we're doing now. So luckily, in the next 5 years, with advancements of artificial intelligence, those complicated calculations can be easier for us. Definitely. Being a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was an excellent presentation by Dr. Marcos Sanchez, who amazed me with his research work. He's never stopped. Today I have the next lecturer who is, we graduated from the same medical school. I know him for a long time. He is Mujibur Majumdar. He is MD and FCCP, Associate Professor of Clinical Medicine, Director of the Pulmonary Critical Care and the Sleep Medicine at the Center of the Brookdale as well as Brooklyn Universities. Please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for inviting me for this excellent sleep medicine workshop. Since this morning, we heard great guest speakers talking about many things that involve in sleep medicine. I'm going to change the gear a little bit. My presentation will be mainly focused for the primary care physician and non-sleep specialists and day-to-day send patients to the sleep doctors, and then they receive the report of the sleep study, and sometimes the patient also bring the report to them and may ask them multiple questions from those report, and also just to give an overview of this report, what it means really. I have no conflict of interest to disclose. So there's approximately 87 different sleep disorders that we know currently. Most common are obstructive sleep apnea, which is almost everybody knows what it is. Insomnia, restless syndrome, narcolepsy, central apnea, obesity hypertension syndrome, primary snoring, idiopathic hypersomnia, shift work disorder, advanced integrated sleep wake phase disorder, sleepwalking, sleep talking, sleep terror, REM behavior disorder, exploding head syndrome, early leg movement disorder, sleep-related epilepsy, and many more. Now, nowadays, to find out what kind of sleep disease the patient has, came up with certain screening tools which help us, the primary care physician, to find the cases that may have some sort of sleep disorder that can be helped with an appropriate management. The most commonly used screening tools are airport sleepiness scale, which is basically assess the person's daytime sleepiness. If somebody is sleep, there's an 8 different question, and each question carries 0 to 3 mark. Maximum number is 24. If somebody scores between 0 to 5, it's unlikely the patient has significant daytime sleepiness. If somebody scores between 6 to 10, maybe some daytime sleepiness is there. Between 11 to 12, patient has mild sleepiness. If the score is between 30 to 15, patient has moderate sleepiness at the time. And if the airport score is between 16 to 24, we consider the patient has significant excessive daytime sleepiness. Patient that has sleep disorder, especially sleep apnea syndrome, they tend to have significant daytime drowsiness, tiredness, or sleepiness. And this is one of the tools that help us determine whether this patient possibly has underlying sleep apnea syndrome or some sleep disorder. It's another commonly used tool is stop bag. We saw this in one of the presentations earlier. It shows whether the patient has a risk of obstructive sleep apnea. It has multiple questions, total 8. And if the patient scores 0 to 2, patient has a low risk of having obstructive sleep apnea. If the patient scores between 3 to 4, patient has an intermediate risk of having sleep apnea. And if the patient scores between 5 to 8, patient has a very high risk of having obstructive sleep apnea. Then we have other screening tool which is not used that much, like Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Test. 2-week sleep diary, which we use to see the quality of sleep, sleep hygiene, or also the diagnosis of the patient has possibly insomnia. It gives us a sleep pattern, habit, and also once we start treating, we can monitor the patient with a sleep diary that helps us to modulate the treatment plan. There's a screening tool for insomnia severity, which is anywhere between 0 to 7, the score is within normal. If somebody scores between 8 to 14, they have a mild insomnia. If somebody scores between 15 to 21, they have moderate sleep insomnia. And if somebody scores between 20 to 28, they possibly have a severe insomnia. Then we also calculate the body mass index. 30 or more is a high risk of having sleep apnea. And also the neck size, if somebody's neck size is more than 40 centimeter, they have a higher chance of having obstructive sleep apnea. Sometimes we also do screening to see whether they have a morning ness or evening ness for sleepiness. And then another tool that's rarely used is Stanford sleep scale. So most common tool that we use in a primary care setting is, and also in the sleep clinic is airport sleep scale and stop bag. There are multiple different kinds of sleep studies. we have, but most common that was we use is the PhD or polysomnogram. This is the initial sleep study where we can find out whether the patient has sleep apnea or patient has periodic leg movement disorder or any other kind of sleep disorder like REM sleep disorder, whether they have convulsion at night time and things like that. The sleep study is a study that where part of the study is basically a polysomnogram and part of the study is sleep titration. Certain insurance company would like us to do the sleep test because of the financial reason. The way it is done is first 2 hours of the study is a PhD or polysomnogram. If the patient sleep apnea score or apnea score is 15 or more, then the lab can go ahead and do a sleep titration on this patient. If their score is less than 15, then we continue the polysomnogram overnight. Anyway, in severe cases, in one-night study, with the sleep study, we can diagnose the patient and we can also find out what kind of treatment the patient needs, like what kind of pressure setting for the CPAP or BiPAP machine the patient needs in one night. That's what is called sleep studies. CPAP titration usually done if somebody is diagnosed with mild, moderate, or severe sleep apnea, where patient come back one more night to the sleep lab and we put a CPAP machine in the mask, and overnight the therapist monitor the sleep and tighten the pressure so that the patient does not have any more apneas during the sleep, and also the minimum oxygen stays above 90%. BiPAP titration is similar like CPAP titration, but it has a bi-level pressure. That means during the inspiration, the machine provides one kind of pressure. During the expiration phase of the breathing, the machine drops the pressure and gives a different kind of pressure. That in some cases is comfortable for the patient. Not every patient needs a BiPAP, but all the facility have is in case a patient doesn't tolerate CPAP or require very high pressure, then they can switch to BiPAP to make it more comfortable and acceptable for the patient. Then we also do home sleep study, which is basically a kind of screening tool where only 4 of the parameters of the sleep study is being monitored. And that is pretty good screening tool or screening test that can easily diagnose many of the moderate to severe sleep apnea patients, mostly sleep apnea patients. And it can be done at home. Patient is very easy to put the machine on. A simple instruction is given to the patient with the equipment. Patient takes the equipment at home, and the next day or day after, they bring the machine to the lab, and then we download the data, and from there we can diagnose whether the patient has sleep apnea and how severe the sleep apnea, and whether the patient has any sort of oxygen desaturation or need of oxygen during the night. MSLT or multiple sleep latency test, which is a special kind of test we do in the lab to diagnose whether the patient has narcolepsy. The way it's done is the night before the MSLT or the multiple sleep latency test, patient has to be in the lab where we do a polysomnogram. The next day, instead of sending the patient home, patient stays back in the lab, and every 2 hours we take the patient to the lab and allow the patient to fall into sleep. We give them 20 minutes to see whether the patient can fall into sleep. If the patient falls into sleep within that 20 minutes, we continue the recording the sleep for another 20 minutes. The idea is to see how long it takes the patient to fall into sleep, that's the sleep latency, and during the sleep, whether the patient has any dream sleep or sleep onset REM sleep. So if the patient has sleep latency of 8 minutes or less, and also have a sleep onset REM, then the diagnosis is made the patient have narcolepsy. So this is a test that's prescribed to diagnose narcolepsy. MWT, or maintenance of wakefulness test, is a kind of test that's done same as MSLT or multiple sleep duration test, except that in these instances, we ask the patient to stay up, not to fall into sleep. This is usually done to see whether the patient is able to maintain wakefulness during the situation where patient is allowed to fall into sleep. This is needed in patients that are involved with driving passenger vehicle or train operators, or wherever you need patient to be, a person to be alert. This is to assess whether this patient can stay alert, even though we give them the environment of conducive to sleep. Sometimes we also do TAP nap or positive airway pressure nap that is done in the daytime. This is done not that commonly, but we usually do this in case the patient has difficulty adjusting to the CPAP machine or BiPAP machine. We bring them to the lab, and in the daytime, we do this to help them to get adjusted to the CPAP machine and CPAP therapy. And actigraphy, you have seen earlier, is almost like a Fitbit. It's to see when the patient is sleeping and the patient is active, and looking at that, we can tell whether the patient has a good quality sleep, they have insomnia, sleep-induced insomnia, or they have shift work problem and things like that. So these are the usual sleep study that we do, but most commonly in the primary care setting, most of the time they even do have a report from the sleep specialist will be either PSG or polysomnogram, sleep study, CPAP or biodetectation, home sleep study, and sometimes MSLT or multiple sleep latency tests. Now, the sleep report, as many of you have seen, is the sleep center sends you a bunch of paper which has the front page, multiple information, data, the diagnosis impression, and at the end, and after that, multiple pages of tabulated form of apnea, central apnea, oxygen saturation, arousal, cardiac arrhythmias, and sleep saturation data and things like that. Now, for a primary care physician or a non-sleep specialist physician, basically they need to see what are the components into the sleep study they need to know and pay attention to. Sometimes patient may ask you what this means, what they meant. So I just wanted to give a brief on that so that you know a little bit of this information for you to communicate with the patient well. So all sleep study report will have a demographic information. Will have recording methodology or montage. Most of the sleep report will have some medical history about the patient and why, basically the main complaint of the patient while we're doing the sleep study. Then it will have some sleep architecture where it will show what time the sleep study started, what time the patient fallen to sleep, what time the first REM sleep came, the patient wake up in the middle of the night, how many minutes the patient wake up, and each of the sleep stages and the latency of the sleep stages, what time the stage 1 came, what time the stage 2 came, stage 3 came, what time the REM came, how much percentage of each of those sleep stages, sleep stages is there. So that is what the sleep architecture is. After that, you have a respiratory parameter into the report where basically if the patient has apnea, it will tell you exactly how many apnea patient has, how many hypoapnea or partial apnea patient has, how many central apnea, mixed apnea patient has, and then they give an index, means the total number of apnea, hypoapnea per hour of sleep. That determines how severe the patient's problem is. Along with that, it will also give you some time, the average time of the apnea event and the highest time of the apnea, the longest time of the apnea event. Along with that, it will also give you the baseline oxygen saturation, and with the apnea event, what is the lowest oxygen saturation is, or what is the mean oxygen saturation is. So that gives an idea how severe the desaturation happens during the night time. It also will, the report also will give you arousal, and that arousal means earlier you've seen in a sleep montage that patient's brain wakes up with respiratory event or leg movement event or spontaneously, and that's, we call it arousal. This arousal also in the report will be how many happen due to sleep apnea or sleep apnea, how many happen due to leg movement, how many arousal happen spontaneously, and things like that. So higher the number of arousal the patient has, most likely patient has a poor quality of sleep and will have much higher incidence of something of daytime sleepiness. Then the study can give you leg movement data where it shows you how many times patient has a leg movement. Then the data will have cardiac data that will give you the average heart rate, the maximum heart rate, the minimum heart rate, and any arrhythmia there if the patient has a atrial fibrillation or VDEC or anything like that. Then in some sleep studies where we have CPAP titration sleep study report or BiPAP titration sleep study report, will provide you the titration data where it shows what level of titration or the level of pressure, positive pressure, resolve the most apneic event of that night, and whether that pressure maintain the minimum oxygenation of about 90% or not. Sometimes that titration data can also show you whether the snoring is resolved or not, and also whether this titration during the REM sleep, the titration pressure resolve the apnea when the patient is having REM sleep or the patient is lying on their back. So these are the information we'll give in the we'll get in the titration data. Then all this report will give you the pressure, the diagnosis, and the recommendation. Now, in the demographic information, you get name, age, sex, date of birth, and everything, BMI, type of study we did, the referring doctor, interpreting physician, sleep technician, scorer, and all the information that goes into demographic information. Then the study will give you the methodology of the one test, where usually the report will say how many Fontan EEGs being used. Usually we use two central, 2 occipital, and then we use bilateral electrogram, snoring microphone, recorded ECG monitoring, nasal oral airflow transducer, rib cage and abdominal induction, plethysmography, and pulse oximetry. These are the standard protocol for all sleep study that we usually put. That's being given by the ASMN organization. And many times it's not really important for the primary physician to know all those things, but a patient may come and they ask you what are these things mean. So you can tell them this is basically the methodology that is being used to record the sleep, and sleep is recorded throughout the night, and through this monitoring device, we gather all this information that's being ultimately analyzed and give you the report that what the patient has. Medical history involves pathological history, medical indication, what is the what sleep skill the patient has, and what the patient current medication is. In the sleep architecture, usually it can give like the study is initiated at what time and terminated at what time. The total recording time was how many minutes. The EEG confirmed total sleep of how many during that recording time. What yields the sleep efficiency means how well the patient slept at night. It usually given as a percentage. 85 or more is accepted as a good sleep efficiency. Less than 85 is a poor sleep efficiency. Usually, sleep onset is when the patient's light is off, and then the first sleep epoch that we see in the sleep study is when we take that period as the sleep latency. Now, it is really not that important unless somebody that telling you that the patient has sleep onset insomnia, then you can collaborate with this. Otherwise, different patients can have different sleep latencies. Some people tend to go to bed late, they may have a longer sleep latency because they are not time for them to go to sleep. Many patients that not accustomed to sleeping in a new place, they can have an increased sleep latency. So that usually we call it first night symptom that is not that important, but in case of patient that has insomnia, and especially sleep onset insomnia, that can corroborate with longer sleep latency.